Hey everybody, it's Dee Dee again, back with another video. Sorry that I've been absent for the past week and a half, but I have been reading, okay? I've been pretty busy at home because my oldest daughter has a correspondent from Ireland here staying with us for the week. So every evening there's something going on. So it's kind of hard to, have the time to do videos and stuff like that. So I'm back here with the video on books that I'm going to be reading in February for Black History Month. Okay, now I must explain, I've got a huge load of books here because I'm kind of fickle. I don't know what I'm going to read from one day to the next. So I've basically pulled off almost all of the books that I have that fit into this category that I haven't read. Keeping in mind, I don't have that many books here because when I moved to France 23 years ago, I moved with a suitcase. I didn't bring any books with me. So a lot of my books stayed back in the U.S. and were promptly given away because my mother had no more space to be keeping my books. I basically pulled off quite a lot of books just to have variety, and that will help me choose quicker what I want to read. So we're going to start with the first one that I'm reading. I started reading it already. It's called Sister Citizen, okay, and I'm reading this on for the Goodreads Clutch 2013 challenge. So this is basically a political-based book, and it's about politics and African-American women. So I started reading it already. I think I'm on page like 45 or something. I'm really at the beginning of the book. It's not very long, but it's solid. It's got a lot of stuff talking about a lot of stuff in it. And so it's not something you sit down and you read joyfully for 3 hours. You read technically if you want, but it is a good book for the moment. So I may do a video on this depending on what I feel like, because this may not interest a lot of people. So that's the first one that I'm going to be reading for sure. All right, next I'm going to be reading Octavia E. Butler, Fledgling. Now I haven't read anything by Octavia Butler, but for people out there that are interested in science fiction, that kind of thing, you should check out Octavia Butler, because that's really what she writes. Her stories contain elements of science fiction, but they also contain elements concerning African Americans, and that was what she's known for. So if you want, you can check out The Fledgling. Okay, I'll read the back for you really quickly. Shori is a mystery. Found alone in the woods, she appears to be a little black girl with traumatic amnesia and near-fatal wounds. But Shori is a 53-year-old vampire with a ravenous hunger for blood, the lost child of an ancient species of near-immortals who live in a dark symbiosis with humanity. Genetically modified to be able to walk in daylight, Shori now becomes the target of a vast plot to destroy her and her kind. And in the final apocalyptic battle, her survival will depend on whether all humans are bigots or all bigots are human. This sounds really cool. If I don't get to this, I am stupid. But anyway, because it sounds kind of cool. It sounds like it has a real twist on, the vampire sagas and things that are gone on. And this book has been out for a while. This book was written in, I think it was 2005. So yeah, check it out. It's probably good. Okay. Next book, The Cutting Season, by Attica Locke. Now, Attica Locke is African-American woman from Texas. She started writing, I think, movie scripts and things like that. But she so desperately wanted to write African-American type themes. And so her first book was called Blackwater Rising, which I haven't read that yet. But this one was given to me for my birthday. And I love the cover because it reminds me of Louisiana. And this book takes place in an antebellum plantation, which is located somewhere between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. So it's basically a mystery. There's a murder that takes place in the past, and it has something to do with something that's happened in the present. So I thought, yeah, this one would be really pretty cool to take a look at it as well. So there you go. You have that one. This one is Beast of No Nation. I heard about this one from Nerd in Translation and another Canadian girl who has a YouTube channel. I can't think of her name now, but I'll put her link here. They both said how great it was and that I should really check it out. So I am, but it's a story about a young boy who becomes one of those African boy soldiers, and it's told from his point of view in a very simplistic language. So it's sort of like a very pigeon-like English, the way it's written. But it's supposed to be very, very good, and it was a little controversial as well. So I hope to take a look at that one if I can. It's kind of short, so I think I could do that. Okay, so there's this one. And then next, I have, this is the Sugar Lacey series by Bernice L. McFadden. So the first book is called Sugar. And the second one is called This Bitter Earth. Okay. All right. I'll read you the back for that. It's evoking the rich atmosphere of the Deep South. Sugar tells the story of a young prostitute who comes to Bigelow, Arkansas to start a new life. Sugar moves next door to Pearl, who is still grieving for the daughter who was murdered 15 years before. Over sweet potato pie and an unlikely friendship begins, transforming both their lives and the life of an entire community. Okay, so this is really set, I think it's in the 1950s, and it should be pretty interesting. So the first one, of course, is Sugar, and the second one is This Bitter Earth. Now, really a shame that they didn't get this together with these books, because look at these two books. Totally different covers. Now look at that on the bookshelf. That is so wrong. But anyway, it's like that. All right. Next book, which you've already seen, which I feel stupid for not having read, which is the #1 Ladies Detective Agency. You know, you've heard a lot about this book. I think it was made into a TV series as well, starring Jill Scott. Jill Scott is an African-American singer. So I'm going to try to give this a look if possible, because it's something that I've heard very mixed reviews about this book. Some people really love it, and some people just absolutely hate it. And I think it's because they say there's a lot of the British colonial feel in this book, and the people that don't like it, they don't like it for that reason. So hopefully I get a chance to look at this. There's Purple Hibiscus. This is written by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. She's fab. She's fabulous. The first book that I read by her was A Half a Yellow Sun, and that was amazing. It was all on Biafra and the war. So you follow how Biafra was before they went through this civil war. And then you follow it right through the Civil War. It's very, very interesting. It's a wonderful story, rich and informative. And this one is a little different. 15-year-old Kambili lives in fear of her father, a charismatic yet violent Catholic patriarch who, although generous and well-respected in the community, is repressive and fanatically religious at home. Escape and the discovery of a new liberated way of life come when Nigeria is shaken by military coup, forcing Kambili and her brother to live at their aunt's home, a noisy place full of laughter. The visit will lift the silence from her world and in time unlock a terrible, bruising secret at the heart of her family life. Okay, so pretty cool. This sounds really interesting. It's not too long, and I love the cover. I think the cover is really pretty. Okay. I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to do part 2 to this because otherwise it's going to be too long. Okay, so I'll see you in a minute.